Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the weekly wave. Just letting you know up front, there's not a lot of new stuff that we're going to cover this week. A lot of it's going to be repetitive, but we do have one piece that's kind of newer. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to start with the PEBT training. Hopefully by now everyone's had a chance to take the training. If you haven't, the link for the training is below it's on the slide, and the slides will be posted after the call today to our website. So if you don't have a Canvas account, you will need to create an account when you use this link. Your email will have to be validated when you, and you'll have to set up login credentials as well to be enrolled in the course itself. So please, if you haven't done it, please go ahead and do that. Also, the training itself is broken into modules, and it's done really nicely. There's in-depth training to understand PEBT and the scenarios on how a student actually qualifies. There's also modules for the DVR process, and they address certain different DVRs that you might need to populate, whether it has to do with attendance, free and reduced, etc. And you're able to actually stop and start the training and then return to it at any time. When you return to the link, you just access Canvas and it'll go back to where you're at in your menu to locate where you're enrolled in the training. So it actually, when you're in the actual training, it's going to look like this. You have to log into Canvas, and then you'll get the dashboard. So does anybody have any questions about the training, or have you had difficulty enrolling, or is everybody pretty good with that? And if you want to respond, please just unmute and let me know. If there's no issues with that, we're going to go ahead and move on. One thing we wanted to talk about today is SIS changes. So if your district is considering making a change from your current SIS vendor to another vendor, now's the time for you to reach out to us at studentdatainfo@sde.ok.gov. So we know that a change is coming. We will definitely work with you to ensure you have a smooth transition. I know in the past there's been issues with your state testing numbers when you do make a change from a vendor to a vendor. If you don't do it a particular way, it ends up sending every STN that you have in your system through this STN tool, and you have to resolve all those state testing numbers. So that's one reason we want you to reach out and make sure that you're doing and pulling over the data that you need to be pulling over if you make this change. So be sure, and if that's occurring at your district or you're even considering it, you might want to reach out to studentdatainfo@sde.ok.gov. Does anybody have any questions about that? Or comments? Okay. Other than that, we're going to move on to requesting state assistance. Please remember, when you ask for assistance from us via email, group chats, our personal email boxes, please include your name and phone number. And so that way, if we have to get back with you for any reason, we have a phone number to do that. And when you're sending that information into us, don't include your student's state testing number. I'm sorry, don't provide us your state testing number and local ID only. We don't need their name or date of birth or any personal information on the student. We can pull up any student by the state testing number and local ID. So be sure that that's all you're including when you request it. Also, if you are setting up a new Wave account, I've seen some requests in our mailbox. Make sure that your superintendents have provided you access to the single sign-on, through the single sign-on to the Wave. And then that employee will need to request an affiliates log on through OMES. Please make sure that when you create the ticket, you ask that you assign the ticket to the following group. It's the app data modernization, and use and assign it to user Matthew Johnston. He's the one who actually creates those. And if you put that in your comment of your ticket, it will speed up the process somewhat. If you don't, it might take up to 72 hours for your access to show up. So in order to submit the ticket, you need to send an email to servicedesk@omes.ok.gov, or you can call them at 405-521-2444. Excuse me. If you're having issues accessing your Wave account, please go to your single sign-on, click on the Wave piece on single sign-on. You'll log in with your affiliates log on, so your username plus @affiliates.ok.gov. It will take you to a Microsoft page. You want to use the same login information that is listed above. When you get the then you'll click on Forgot Password. The system's going to email you a temporary password and you'll have to change it. If for some reason this process doesn't work for you, you'll need to contact OMES again at servicedesk@omes.ok.gov. Okay, that's actually really all I have for today. I know I told you there wasn't much that we had that was new. So if you have any other questions, now's the time to unmute and ask those questions.
Nancy, this is Terry from Choctaw. I have a quick question.
Okay.
Preparing for the CRDC that's coming up, and noticing the new questions that were added last year, all of the incident reports, whether it was a bullying incident or a fight or whatever, it is now stair-stepping down, drilling down another level and asking if it was a hate crime, if it's a crime based on gender or nationality or religion. And the state provided categories and incidents and behaviors do not drill down that far.
Okay.
And so when we go to fill out the CRDC, we don't have any of that data because we don't collect that data. And I don't know if it's something that the state wants to look at adding, because the only thing we use in incidents in PowerSchool is what the state has provided that it wants.
Right.
And so since y'all don't ask, I don't have any data to provide. And it looks like we have, I don't know, it looks skewed. We have all of these suspensions and everything, and nothing is related to anything they've ever asked.
Okay.
Is that something y'all are planning on addressing, or?
This is June. Let me talk about that for a little bit. So we did see that last year in CRDC when I was completing those new additional fields.
Yeah.
And this is until the state looks at that and decides that we are going to expand the discipline, but we don't pull discipline and provide it to CRDC anyway from SISs.
Correct.
Most SISs, you should be able to create some of your own discipline events and discipline codes. So just look at the guidance that the state has and pick the code that is like the parent code of that. And you can create one within your own system that might specifically address those different categories of that, like, the hate crime or based on religion or based on gender, and just expand it. If you don't have very many instances in your district, if you're a smaller district, you may want to instruct your users, your discipline people, to make sure that they indicate that in the comments where you could look at that and evaluate it. But the state doesn't send that to CRDC. We don't collect it in a way that we can send it.
Yes, and I knew y'all don't send it, but Power School creates it within our system and it can provide it for us, but I didn't want to create any customizations if you guys were moving in that direction, because then it doesn't always transfer correctly.
And at this point in time, we've not made any steps to expand that.
Okay,
So you will be fine as long as you're using one of the SIF codes, as long as you're using a standard code.
yeah,
You can use that standard code for a more discrete level of that. And all of those standard codes then would come over the same way.
okay, we can try that.
Okay.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for the question, Terry. That was a great question. Anybody else?
Yeah, hi, this is Daniel Hall calling from KIP. I just had a question about PEBT. I don't know
Okay.
if you have information about what that looks like after like the DDR has been submitted. I just looked in the accountability system and see like some of them looks like they've been processed. I'm
Well,
just looking at,
we have quite a few and we're in the process of actually working through those. And then, that process will continue till the end of January. And
okay,
once all they're done, once they're all been completed, then we'll send that file over to DHS.
okay. So I was just wanting to clarify. So like I see some of the statuses of the appeals, show like closed pending update. So is that basically what it sounds like? It's been approved and it's just waiting to be processed? I was just wondering in case I get questions. Myself.
Once it's been processed, then we're just waiting for everything else to be done before we send it through.
So, but that's what closed pending update means, basically.
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
you're
Because
welcome.
closed pending update is the same as approved. We're just waiting for it to update the data, the student data inside the report.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the question. Terry, you're asking it, did you miss anything on the dropout report? No, you didn't. I mean, you're just still should be looking at your conflicts. The dropout report is not open yet. So that's why we didn't even address it today. I do want to mention you will be receiving some communication about accountability reporting. So look for that. I don't have any specifics at this time. There's some conversations going on, but please keep an eye out from the accountability department for some communications about the reportings. Does anybody have anything else? I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.